greater percentage of our young people are out of employment is quite critical. More importantly, is the fact that Kazaure, who I know is quite well appreciated in this parliament and also appreciated by the masses of Nigerians, is the mover of the motion. So the messenger before us is quite credible because he fights for the masses. The spirit behind the motion is quite noble. But Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, one thing that was promised to us, to Nigerians by this government, is to ensure is that they will lift Nigeria out of 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years. Mr. Speaker, we were also promised millions of employment per annum. Mr. Speaker, I do not know to what extent we have gone in accomplishing that. So the challenge we have is has been well pointed out by Kazaure. He said, what type of planning is that? That was Kazaure's major question. What type of planning is that? If an economy is being planned in a way that it can't gainfully engage Nigerians, there is a problem. And you also know, even if you get the president's approval, he cannot get 10,000 people and dump into the public service because it is too consequential. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, you moved a bill that the capital budget should be 40%. Imagine a situation we carry additional burden to recurrent expenditure without planning for it. How will it work? It's quite a problem. Now we are virtually at 20% recurrent expenditure. 80% recurrent expenditure. And about 20 capital, and we now reduce that. Human capital, like you rightly said, is very important. But the duty of government, as we expect from this government, is to plan well. Create the enabling environment in the private sector for enterprise to run. Create the enabling environment so that Nigerians can be gainfully engaged. And what we are trying to do, and what we have done in the past, is to make sure we provide legislative solutions to some of these problems. And that comes within the context of the infrastructure bills we have passed here. And they were not able to be assented to by the president. So what we expect is that action should be taken in that direction. Sometimes we begin to wonder, oh, why is there so much kidnapping? Why so much robbery? Why so much restiveness, agitation? In the eastern flank of this country, from Maiduguri to the southeast, what you see is either Boko Haram, restiveness in the west, in the east of the Middle Belt. When you go to the south, you have Niger Delta militants. The southeast, you have IPOB. Why? Because our youths are not engaged. So we must make sure that we provide an enabling environment for them to be engaged, because government cannot simply approve employment indiscriminately. The president or the executive may have approved 10,000, but it has to be absorbed in such a way that the economy can take it. And the option available to us is to make sure that an enabling environment in the private sector is created. For instance, what is the situation with cattle headers? For the past 10 years, there has been rustling. And some of those boys that are growing up now, about 20 years, they are not gainfully engaged because the cattle have been rustled. And you'll be wondering why they're taken to criminality. Somehow you come to communities, you have whole villages sacked. And for the past 10 years, they've been growing up. The average age of all these people committing some of these challenges or these crimes, 20 years. because for the past 10 years, they've been growing up without any available opportunity. So government has to plan, like my brother Kazaure said. And I believe that in doing so, there will be much more, it will be much more functional than increasing the burden of government in recurrent expenditure and diminishing what capital expenditure should actually do by putting food on the table of so many Nigerians. So I agree with him in spirit, in the letter. The messenger is good, but I believe also that it is important that we contextualize it and say that government should ensure that the enabling environment is created for absorption of 10,000 people and more. So I believe that this motion should be supported with some subtle amendment. Thank you very much.